Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for our Village of Alsip Committee meeting. Today is February 10th, 2025, and we'll call this meeting in order at 7:31 p.m. Can you call the roll, please?
Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin is absent. Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Navas Esparza is absent. Trustee Parada?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We'll start with our officers' reports. I had nothing this evening. I will say I was at a legislative breakfast this past Friday with the Southborough managers. It was a good meeting. We met with a few. It was all the mayors from like Alsip all the way to more or less Peatone, and at Idlewild Country Club, and they had a slate of a table of maybe 3 senators and 3 state reps and a Cook County commissioner. And it was a good conversation. They were just talking about today's events, what's taking place in downstate government, and the gist of it really is, once again, they're asking not to lean on the state if you can make do on what we're doing here, because budgets at the state level right now are going to be, they're looking at a major deficit in next year's budget. It could be as much as, right now they're projecting $5.5 billion, and they say it could easily go as high as $5 or $6 billion. So an ask from the state would be a very difficult one, and I've already met last week. We had the last Wednesday of every month here, we have our staff meeting with all the department heads, and while we're getting our budgets ready, we do an appropriation budget that's approved by June or July. We like to have our numbers in place by May 1st in case there's any alterations that need to be made and whatnot. So again, I asked all the department heads to focus on the priorities that they really need to make for their departments, and to please speak with each trustee that represents their particular department to obviously advocate for what you need to make that department work best. And certainly we're looking for affordability. We got to stretch a dollar the best we can. Right now we got some, everybody knows we got some major apparatus purchases we need to make, and we're budgeting accordingly and stuff. And I did remind everybody, if you have something in the fiscal year 25 budget that's going to end April 30th, make sure you're qualifying your purchases and speaking to your committee people to, as well as my office and the finance director, to get those approved, so that we don't roll those over if we don't have to. We appropriate money for it. Let's get the work done. That's all I had for this evening. Next is the clerk's report. Clerk Harding.
Thank you, Mayor. Of the presentation of the January 2025 FOIA report and presentation of the February 3rd, 2025 board meeting minutes. And that is all I had, Mayor.
Thank you. We don't need an attorney this evening. I didn't have anything from the engineer. Mike, did you? Okay. We'll go to our public forum. Anyone in the audience wish to address the board tonight? No? All right. Thank you. Then we'll go on to our standing committee reports. We'll start with finance and IT. Trustee Dalzell.
I'll be presenting a list of payroll and accounts payable. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next is the fire committee. Trustee Murphy.
Nothing for this evening, sir.
Trustee, I did get an email today from the fire chief.
I did as well.
You saw that?
Yes.
Okay. So he did, and just so trustees they understand, I made about 6 recommendations to the fire chief and where he could advertise to possibly get rid of our 2002, I think, the fire truck, the ladder truck, and to put it up for auction. And unfortunately, the auction houses don't want it because the frame supposedly won't support the ladder. That's why
it was decommissioned, so they won't touch it.
Right. So the chief has recommended we scrap the thing, and I'm with you, it's just not my nature, but I don't know what we do with the truck that supposedly can't support the ladder it's attached to. So that's a toughie. But right now, the new buildings that were just put up at Opus Development is housing that truck for the time being. So it's still tucked away in a nice little warm spot, but it's going to be hitting the street at some point. I'm not sure what we're going to do with it. And certainly we can go to some type of Craigslist or something. Maybe somebody wants it for parade, benefit.
With a bad frame, they ain't.
Huh?
Not with a bad frame.
Oh, no, I'm saying that they won't be using the ladder on the thing, but the truck is still okay.
Did that other fire department make anything?
Supposedly it was the wrong size ladder, trustee, yeah. He did comment on that as well, too, because there was a fire department in St. Louis that had some interest. So I wish I had better news, but I just want to share that. Next is the Police and Traffic Safety Report. Trustee Dalzell.
We'll have a presentation of the January 2025 Police Department Monthly Activity Report, and that's all, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Public Work and Boat Launch Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the presentation of the January 2025 Public Works Monthly Activity Reports. Next, I have the request for approval of an intergovernmental agreement providing for membership in the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network Agreement. And finally, I have the request for approval of a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement for participation in the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network. And that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Superintendent Farrar, can I ask you to grab a mic, and explain to everybody, we're part of this organization already. This is just a renewal, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
we are currently members. IPW Man recently did some updating to their bylaws for three reasons, mainly. One was to clarify that mutual aid is not just for emergencies, but includes day-to-day operations and training opportunities. The second is transition management from IPW Man Incorporated to IPW Man, an intergovernment agency. And then third, provide a revised process for any future amendments to the agreement. So they wanted to pass those along and then have each agency resubmit intergovernment agreement and resolution.
Mike, even as far back as last year, I was down in Springfield, and there was a lot of talk going back and forth between a lot of the villages about something similar to this, but your mutual aid is much like the fire department. If you need help with something, you can call your nearby.
Correct.
Who's your go-to community that you're reaching out to? Is there a particular one, or?
No,
Okay.
no one in particular, just whoever responds. So.
Okay. So if you need any, and they can do the same. If they need an extra snowplow, you're going to help them out and stuff like that.
Yes.
Physically, too. Now, you're not just giving them equipment. You're going to send a guy over there to help
Oh,
them.
yeah, absolutely. It includes
Right.
manpower.
Right, okay. And then, I know where the conversation came back to is, I know it's mutual aid. Is there any billing involved, or is it just straight up mutual aid?
There is, so depending on the duration of the event, there may be some paperwork as far as, compensating salaries or hourly wages, but otherwise it's.
It depends on the event or how much time you put into
Exactly, yep.
it. So and you've got a qualifier, like in your bylaws for that and stuff yet, too, when that triggers?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you would, we're not voting on it tonight, but, Mike, if you can send us something that just so everybody understands what's the trigger for that and stuff then, too. Okay.
Is it an agreement? Shouldn't we run that past legal?
I did, and Joe Kankar approved this, trustee.
Thank you.
And just so you know, our membership fee annually is $250 for this, so.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, no, I shared this with trustee Joe, I always call him trustee, who given that little, attorney Joe Kankar, and Joe said that it was a good agreement, and we could have used either an ordinance or a resolution. Joe recommended a resolution. Okay. All right, thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Next, we have the Sewer and Water Report Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a presentation of the January 2025 Water Department Monthly Activity Report, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Next is the Building and Health Report, trustee Parada.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I have a presentation of the January 2025 Building Department Monthly Activity Report. In that building report, there were 47 permits issued. The amount collected, including inspector fees, was $11,587, and the estimated cost of construction is valued at $779,548. And next, I have a presentation of the December 2024 Health Department Monthly Activity Report. And next, I have a presentation of the January 2025 Health Department Monthly Activity Report. Both months were combined in my report here, so in total there were 24 complaints, 3 inspections, 14 citations, and 1 call-out. Next, I have a discussion on establishing a fee for health inspections conducted at least twice annually per current ordinance, but does not have a fee associated with this service. Mayor, would you like to elaborate a little bit on this?
Sure. So, trustees, I put this on the agenda for a discussion, and basically, I had a meeting last week, a couple weeks ago, I should say, with our health inspector, and historically, the village has never had a fee associated with the health inspections that are conducted at least 96 different entities throughout the village, right? Rod, you can grab a mic in case you have to answer anything. So this is Building Commissioner Early's department, and what I want to do is, much like any inspection, certainly the taxpayers are providing personnel to be available to do the inspections, but just as we would, getting a roof put on your home and so forth, there should be a fee associated with the service provided to, in this case, mostly all businesses, Roger, right?
Correct.
Do you have residentials in any of these too?
No, it wouldn't be residential homes.
No, but I'm saying there's no residences mixed in those 96 locations that she shared with me.
No.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is establish a fee for said service. Roger and I met this afternoon to talk about this because he was out of the office on leave last week. And to talk about fees, I did just do a survey of local municipalities around us. Ballpark, a few dollars either way, they were around $100 for an inspection. The discussion can go a little bit further because we do have personnel that's going to be retiring at some point this year. And I'm actually considering doing a couple of things. I was considering bringing in like a third-party contractor to do this instead because, and I would like to focus, which I'm going to bring up on next year's budget, I want to focus on getting a code enforcement person instead, somebody that can help assist your office, Roger, at the same time. But Roger had another suggestion as well today, and what he was saying is he's spoke with a couple, and while I'm talking to third-party contractors about possibly doing health inspections, Roger said he may have somebody that's interested in a part-time position to do the same. So something like that. We don't have any numbers from the personnel with that.
This time we do not.
Right. And again, even with something like that yet too, if we create, we're not necessarily creating a position, but again, to be EEOC compliant, a lot of times that we will have to post that, have people, allow the public to apply if we decide to go at a part-time status on this, because I don't believe this to be a full-time job, just in health, code enforcement and so forth, that takes on a new life too, but you need credentials for a lot of that kind of thing
Correct.
too. So much like you do even like health inspections, because we have a health inspector, but then we have a licensed health
LEHB.
officer that has to approve
to have the
this
license.
person's work. So right now we got 2 people kind of doing the job of one person, but this was established way before I ever got here. This has been going on for over 20-some years, right? Right, okay. So the discussion tonight, trustees, and I just spoke with Trustee Parada right before the meeting started, is this is a little premature. I'm going to ask that we not consider, because I had, as number 5 in here, was a request for consensus to have the attorney draft an ordinance to establish said fee. But I think this is more after our discussion today, Raj. We're building this scenario. This is something that's never taken place before, so I don't want to crash into it. just to establish a number, because this wouldn't even kick off for a few months yet. We have to give notice to those businesses and everything else about any adjustments we're going to make. But over the next couple of weeks, let's have some more discussion about this. And Trustee Peretta, I'm going to bring this back to committee in about 2 weeks, and I could try and have a lot more information for everybody to share with you then, okay?
All right, very good. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Roger, anything else you wanted to add to that, too?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Okay. I mean, you're good with this. This is what we're talking about. We're going to build on this. You know, I'm going to work with you.
We have to work on it together.
Exactly, right. You were out for a couple of weeks, and I couldn't do anything, so now that you're back, thank you. You know, we'll start working on it and stuff.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Trustee Peretta, anything else?
So number 5, we're just tabling that?
Yeah, we're just pulling that for right now. We'll
Okay.
bring that back up in a couple of weeks from now.
All right, sounds good. No, that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Human Resource and Insurance Committee? Or I'm sorry, Trustee Murphy.
Nothing further this evening, Mayor.
Okay. We'll go to Special Committee Reports, Economic Development Committee.
No report this evening?
Okay. Thank you. Village Properties Committee.
There's nobody here.
All right, there was no report for them. Ordinance and Legislation, Trustee Peretta.
No report, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Next, Planning and Zoning and Licenses Committee.
There's nobody here for that one either.
Yeah, I'll take it. First, there's a presentation of a list of licenses dated January 27th through February 7th, 2025. And second, I have a request for consensus to have the village attorney draft an ordinance to have a $250 fee added to the application for Planning and Zoning Commission hearing, as this is a base fee for the court reporter present at the hearing, and while these fees were typically paid after the hearing based on hours worked by the reporter, some applicants have not paid the fee if or when their cases were denied by the commission, then leaving the village responsible for said fee.
So, again, I met with Roger today on this, and as the building commissioner, Roger, I put a base number down there of $250, but Roger felt, go ahead, why don't you speak to it, Roger?
Currently, the fee is at $125. What the mayor was proposing was $250. I have had conversations with the court reporter. The fees typically range from $400 to $500 after all is said and done. What I would ask for is a $400 fee that they would pay up front in a separate check. This way, we're not bringing it in the house and then paying her. It would just be separate checks, have them write a check for $400 to her company, and then if anything exceeds the $400, then she would be responsible for going after them for the excess over the $400. So what my ask would be is to change it from $125 to $400 at this time.
Roger, I have to dig it up, but maybe you can simplify it for me. Trustee McGlowhorn's not here this evening, but she had sent me a comment too. You don't need a stenographer like a court reporter for all cases, right?
Not for all cases. If you're doing subdivisions, we wouldn't have a court reporter there.
Okay. So if you're just subdividing a property, you wouldn't need that. But folks that need like special use permits, things like that, you know, and we get a lot of call for that all the time.
Correct.
That's where you need a court reporter, like stenographer, somebody sitting there recording everything that took place at the meeting.
Correct.
Okay. And trustees, again, what happened was, this doesn't happen often, but it has happened a couple of times. We've had a lot of activity here in the village for the last, I've been here 7.5 years, and at least once or twice a year, you'll get a case where people won't pay the fee because they might have been denied, and they're frustrated or upset or whatever, and because they're getting billed after the case is over, they feel they walk away because they had nothing to gain from this anyway and stuff. And we've assumed responsibility for that because the person did work for us in this capacity. And what all this is doing is obviously having all parties take responsibility for their own debt ahead of time like this then too. So, again, we don't have anything in writing on this yet, but to implement something like this, we would need to have like an ordinance drafted, and that's why I'm asking the board if they would consider giving a consensus this evening to have our village attorney draft an ordinance to increase this fee to $400. Now, you said right now, Roger, do we have an ordinance that says?
Right now, we have an ordinance in place which states it's $125.
So all we're going to do is amend that to go to
Amended
400?
to go from 125 to 400.
Right. Okay. And that's in the schedule of fees that we just did not that long ago?
No, it was an actual ordinance in place.
Separate from all that? Because
Correct.
what we did was on building fees, not like an administrative fee like this.
Correct. I did forward it to yourself and trustee McLaughlin also.
Gotcha, okay. I'll
I'll forward it to all members.
Okay. Trustees, did you have any questions on doing something like this?
Well, I don't have any questions, but I think that it'd be in our best interest to get the money up front instead of getting stiffed at the end of the day.
Right.
So I'd be in favor of it.
Trustees?
I agree with trustee Murphy.
Okay.
Seems to be a validation that if they were denied and then they're going to walk out on money, then there's a good choice of not having them come into town.
Right, right. So, Madam Clerk, can I ask you to poll the trustees? Poll the board, I should say.
All right, so consensus for the attorney drafting an ordinance to amend the application fee for planning and zoning commission hearings from $125 to $400, that's correct?
Correct.
All right, roll call number 1, trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez Mendoza is absent. Trustee McLaughlin is absent. Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Trustee Nava Esparza is absent. Trustee Prada?
Yes.
Mayor Ryan?
Yes.
Your consensus carries.
Thank you very much, everybody. I'll inform Attorney Mike Kankar tomorrow, and Mike's here for a lot of these meetings too, so he's obviously been part of this until he understands the whole
advised to it,
process
so.
and everything. Okay. Did anybody have any presentations, petitions, or communications they wanted to share? Trustees, just as a reminder, at the end of the month, at our February 24th meeting, we're going to have, in the police department, they're going to have 2 appointments, one in deputy chief, one for lieutenant, and there's going to be 2 promotions of sergeant. We're going to do that here under Trustee Dalzell's committee on the 24th. Okay? So we should have a nice group of families out and everything else here too to witness that. That's a nice event. So please join us if you're available that evening too, for those folks watching. Anybody have any unfinished business they want to talk about? Any new business? All right, then can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Oh, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Time now is 7:57 p.m. And thank you again for coming out tonight.